It is morning outside. A family picture is beside a bed. Graham Hess suddenly wakes up upright. He's alone in the room. He walks out of the bedroom to check on the children's room. Noticing the silence, he decides not to go in, and instead picks up their socks scattered on the floor and throws them into the bin. While he brushes his teeth, he hears a child scream. He checks the house, but it's empty. The scream comes again, and their uncle Merrill is thrown from his bed. He rushes outside and meets Graham, and they begin searching for the kids. Morgan calls inside the maize field, and Graham and Merrill run inside to check. They first pick up Bo and then find Morgan. Morgan tells his father the dogs were barking, and after following them, he reached this part of the field. Turning to the field, Graham sees entire sections of his field with fallen crops. From above, they look like alien signals. Graham calls one of his friends, Lee, to ask whether what happened to his farm was a prank by the local county gang he leads. However, he denies that the gang was involved, as they were at the movies that day. He returns to the kitchen where he finds his dog has peed on the floor, scared. He has the kids take it outside while he cleans up the mess. He turns to find Officer Paskey, who's waiting for him. He complains she's late, and she replies she was held up by an emergency in town from an elderly citizen. She then asks about his crops. Outside, the dog begins acting aggressively towards the kids. Graham takes Paskey to the field and shows her his fallen crops and the signs. She tells him this does not look like the work of the local gang. She also informs him that dogs have been acting strangely aggressive in the area lately. Remembering his kids and that there is no sound from them, Graham rushes to find them. They find Morgan looking at their dead dog, Houdini. He had gone rogue and wanted to bite Bo until Morgan put him down. Graham orders Merrill to tie the remaining dog on a tight leash. That night as he sleeps, he's woken up by Bo, who informs him that there's a monster outside her door, and she's also thirsty and wants a glass of water. He takes her back to her room, but before he puts her to sleep, he sees an unknown creature outside, standing on their roof, looking at them. Thinking it's the local gang up to their antics again, he wakes up Merrill. Merrill suggests they go run around the house, yelling at the top of their voices to scare whoever's there away. Reluctantly taking his suggestion, they circle the whole house, yelling and cursing. The creature gets on the roof and then quickly disappears into the field. The next day, they try to tell Officer Paskey what happened, but she does not believe their story. Bo keeps interrupting, asking for the remote and wanting to change the channel. When she says the TV is only showing one thing, they check the TV, and there are worldwide reports of similar signs occurring all over the world. Officer Paskey is confused, too, about the revealed existence of extraterrestrials. She goes to find out more information, but before leaving, she advises Graham to take the children into town for them to at least experience a normal day. Morgan takes Bo, and Merrill takes a walk. Graham reminds Merrill to come back in 15 minutes for pizza. Morgan goes to a bookstore and buys a book on extraterrestrials. Graham goes to the medicine store to pick up Morgan's medicine. However, Tracy, the receptionist, holds him up with a confession filled with her teenage drama. Morgan decides to buy the book from the bookstore, and Graham has to listen to Tracy's teenage confessions impatiently before getting the medicine and going for the pizza with his family. He warns them not to stay with Tracy alone. As they enjoy their time, he sees Ray, the man responsible for his wife's death. He quickly drives away. When they drive back home, Bo's baby monitor picks up alien signals. Morgan thinks the aliens might be communicating. They climb to the car's roof to get the signal before it disappears. That evening, Elizabeth's dog is barking loudly when Graham is out to feed it. He decides to check the field in a bid to calm it down. He tries to sound brave at first, thinking it's a prank. However, when he's returning and sees a real alien hiding within the maze, he makes a run for it. He returns to his house, scared. They turn on the TV and watch as various reports about the aliens come in from around the world. Morgan is happy his theory of aliens is proven true. The children fall asleep, and Graham and Merrill talk. Merrill is worried that it's the end of the world. Graham tells him the last words of his wife, encouraging Merle to swing his bat. Graham believes that no one is coming to save them. They're on their own. The next day, Graham wakes up and finds cords all over the floor. He follows them to the cabinet where he finds Merle watching conspiracy theory footage on TV. The schools have been closed, and he did not want the children to only watch TV and get absorbed in the alien news. He takes a shower and checks in on his children, who are reading Morgan's book about aliens. He joins them for a while, but after finding the pictures unsettling, he confiscates them. Someone calls, startling them, and he goes to pick it up. However, the one on the other end does not speak. Knowing it is Ray, Graham goes to his place. He finds an empty house. Ray is in his car, probably living inside. He's also bleeding on the side. He apologizes to Graham for the accident that killed his wife. He did not mean for it to happen. He says he's going to the lake, seeing as these alien ships are not near any water bodies. He warns Graham not to open up his pantry, as he locks one of those aliens inside. Graham checks the locked pantry and almost leaves, thinking there's nothing inside, until he checks again and a 3-fingered alien hand comes through. He cuts 2 of its fingers off before running away. He goes back home and informs the family that he has encountered one of the aliens at Ray's. He wants to take the family to the lake, where they may be safe. However, after a disputed vote, he loses and they decide to hole up in the house. Graham plans to block up every single window in the building. That evening, every station shows alien ship lights appearing in the skies all over the world. Graham looks quite terrified. That evening, he serves them whatever they want, but everyone is too scared to eat, and they end up holding each other, crying. Bo's baby monitor goes on alert, and checking the TV, it has gone into emergency mode. They start blocking the windows. Morgan and Bo are scared, but he begins telling them stories about how they were born. Bo is happy to listen to her story. They finish barring up the windows, but then realize they had forgotten to untie their dog, Elizabeth, outside. They listen to her last barks and whimpers before she is killed by the aliens. The aliens enter the house and are on the veranda. One gets on the roof while the other tries to open the door. They run to hide in the basement. They reach the basement and Graham has to hold the door, while Merle looks for something to hold the doorknob. As he struggles, Merle finds an axe, but picking it up, he smashes the light bulb and it all goes dark. Bo screams her daddy's name. When Morgan lights up a flashlight again, Graham and Merle are holding up the door from the aliens. Morgan finds Bo hiding, but she is okay. The aliens are now just knocking on the door as a distraction and not trying to get through. They're looking for another way in. Scanning the room with their flashlight, Morgan is standing next to a window. An alien hand comes through and grabs him. Graham and Merle have to struggle to get him out. After that ordeal, he gets into an epileptic shock and Graham has to help him breathe again. Luckily, he makes it, and Merle looks on happily at his brother's efforts. They turn off their lights to save the flashlights. Graham dreams of the time his wife died. When he wakes up, it's morning. The news on the radio is that the aliens left fast this morning. However, they secreted poisonous gases from their bodies that killed many people. Something scared them, and they even left their wounded behind. They return upstairs and he leaves the sick Morgan on the sofa. Merle goes to get his shots while Graham brings back the TV. However, returning to the living room, an alien with missing fingers is holding hostage the sick Morgan. It sprays his nose with gas from its body. Merle wants to help, but Graham stops him. Remembering his wife's last words, Graham tells Merle to swing away. Merle turns and looks at his bat displayed on the wall and arms himself with it. He hits the alien once and it lets go of Morgan. Graham quickly picks him up. The alien trips over a glass of water and as it pours, it scars it heavily. Graham takes Morgan outside and Bo runs outside with them and watches from the window as Uncle Merle battles the alien. Merle hits the alien several times until it falls. Glasses containing Bo's drinking water spill on it, killing it completely. Graham, who's outside, gives Morgan his shots and prays for him to breathe. The family almost thinks they've lost him until he starts to talk again. He asks whether someone saved him, and an overjoyed Graham agrees. The next shot shows Graham wearing his bishop clothes again, preparing to leave, having resumed practicing his faith. Thrilling film comes to an end. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.